Buju Ninwe Manganidung, Wasagijik, Adishnakas. My name is Raymond Kadar. I work for the Visitor Service Program at the Ziibiwing Center. And I come here today to talk about the Ghost Feast or Ghost Supper. And the Ziibiwing Center, along in conjunction with 7th Gen, has been conducting this event since 1997. And I just want to talk a few things about the Ghost Supper or the Ghost Feast, as we call it, to honor our relatives who have walked on. And every year after they have gone on, we come together and we honor them, we feast them, we offer our sama to the Creator, and we know that they're in a better place, they're in a good place, they're not suffering any hardships, and so we honor them and care for them and remember them, come together in a feast in our families and our communities. We talk about the good times we had with our relatives who have walked on, all of the wonderful things, the wonderful accomplishments they have done in their lives, all of their family members, if they have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and even some have great-great-grandchildren. So we honor their memory and place out our food for them to help them in their place where they're at. You know, these ways of life that the Anishinaabe people have conducted was given to them by the Creator. In 1881, all of these ceremonies were taken away from the Anishinaabe people. It hasn't been since recently, since the revitalization and the bringing back of these events to the Anishinaabe people to say that we honor and care for our relatives. And with this, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me here today, miigwech, and have a good day.
Nindawe Maganaduk, Makade, Wase, Yamagunts, Nadishnakas, Makwa Indodain, Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, and Dao, Saginaw, a king and Don Jaba, Namisa Wayne Don, we Medewian. My name is William Johnson, and I'm the curator for the Ziibiwing Center of Anishinaabe Culture and Lifeways. And I would like to talk to you just a little about the history of the Spirit Feast that the Ziibiwing Center and the 7th Generation program have been sponsoring since 1997. It was 24 years ago and one day, on October the 19th of 1997, that Michigan State University repatriated to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan approximately 145 ancestors and 65,160 associated funerary objects. These ancestors and objects were from the Fletcher site in Bay City, Michigan, and they are our relatives. They are culturally affiliated to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan. And it is unfortunate, but our ancestors and their objects were desecrated over time by unscrupulous looters and grave robbers who stole from their graves and collected the remains and the objects of our ancestors. It was during this time in 1997, when we repatriated the ancestors and objects from Michigan State University, that we began to host an annual Spirit Feast in their honor. And it was with great pleasure and honor that the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan's tribal community chose to honor their ancestors on a yearly basis, to always remember that they were the ones who paved the way for us and laid the path for us to follow. It was rather unfortunate that our tribal community had to endure the pain our ancestors endured. But we honor them each and every year, those ancestors from Michigan State University that came to us in 1997. And since that time, we also had an opportunity to honor the ancestors from Midland, Michigan, and the Council of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, where an additional 3 ancestors came to us on December the 2nd of 1998. We honor these ancestors each and every year, and we also have the big responsibility to work with the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, a federal law that assists tribes to repatriate certain cultural materials back to the tribes. We work cooperatively with the Michigan Anishinaabe Cultural Preservation and Repatriation Alliance to repatriate ancestors from the University of Michigan and 18 museums nationally, and we continue to do that work. Every year I've had the pleasure to update the Saginaw Chippewa tribal community in regard to the ancestors that were coming home. So I have the distinct pleasure of letting our Saginaw Chippewa tribal community know that Michigan State University will be repatriating ancestors and associated funerary objects to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan yet again here in 2020. So approximately 123 individuals and 432 associated funerary objects will soon be coming home. We will repatriate these ancestors and objects and return them to the womb of Mother Earth in our Nebokan Cemetery. So it gives us great pleasure the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan and the Michigan Anishinaabe Cultural and Preservation Alliance work so hard in regard to bringing our ancestors and objects home through the NAGPRA law. And we will continue to do that. We will continue to do that. And we would like to thank our Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan Tribal Council for blessing us and giving us the encouragement to continue to celebrate and honor our ancestors in the time of the Spirit Feast. So may all the tribal communities be blessed as you honor your family and your relatives and the ancestors that come home from the various universities and federal agencies. And with that, I will say miyu, and we hope that you have a blessed fall holiday season, and always remember the ancestors of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan and the Great Lakes Anishinaabe. Miyu.
Buju, Kushmanse and Disnakaz, Mukwa and Dodem, Saginaw, Swan Creek, and Black River, Ojibwe, and Dow. My name is Ben Hindman. I'm a cultural representative for the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe's Elijah Elk Cultural Center, 7th generation program. And this is the time of the year, the fall time, when the season to offer food for our ancestors who have walked on, all of our relatives. My family each year will gather, and of course we'll go out and we'll light a fire in the morning. We'll do that in the old way, of course, and offer prayers to that fire, put some cedar in that fire to carry those medicines to all those who have walked on. After the fire is lit, my family, the women of my family, will gather and prepare a feast of all the favorite foods of ancestors and my family members who walked on recently. And we would invite all of our family members to come and participate, to offer feast plates, to put them into the fire or put them out in the way that they feel is appropriate for them. But generally it's been the fire. And we remember those people. We gather, we tell stories, we talk about the good times that we've had with them. We remember all those moments that were important in that journey with them. And it's generally a good time for all of us. We share that food, we share those prayers, and we honor each and every one of them. This year I was unfortunate to lose my mother, and so I'm sure she'll be a focus of the fire this year. In about a week or two, my family's still in the planning stages because of the pandemic. We're going to get together as a family and have our ghost supper. Ziibiwing.
Buju Mijakwet Nidisnaka, Saginaw, Ojibwe, Ishkonganing, Donjaba, Anishinaabe, and Dao, Emik Godum. I'd like to talk about our Jibai Benaki, our ghost supper. You know, I was told when I was younger, you know, to always honor and remember the dead. In the fall, you know, we get together and make a spirit plate, you know, with rice and squash, you know, with some meat, you know, or whatever your loved ones had liked to eat in the past. You know, we put that all together, and we don't eat it before, you know, it's done. We get it all together and we put it out in the bush for them, you know, and we honor their spirit and what they taught us. And you know, we take that tobacco out and put that tobacco down with it, not on the plate, but next to it, and we say our prayers and, you know, just remember them and honor them. You know, at this time of year, in the fall, we take that plate out to the bush with our tobacco, and we say our prayers and remember them, and for all that they've done and they've taught us, in a good heart. You know, so. Miigwech, Ziibiwing.
Bonjour, Nin Dan. I work here at 7th Generation, and I'm going to talk about the Spirit Feast or Ghost Supper, however you want to call it. So if you're participating, it's obviously because, you know, it's your spiritual connection. So, you know, that's a good thing. Where the event is for, you know, honoring our ancestors that walked on, and it's one way to honor them, and it also gives you some gratitude to, you know, reminisce on memories in the process. And yeah, I think that's it. Miigwech.
Ani Gijgu Kwen Adishnagas, Mashike Dodem, Saginaw, Chippewa, and Dao. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Spirit Feast or Ghost Supper, or however you like to explain it. It is a season. Our people, our traditional people, have always feasted our past ones that have gone on. It's a good way to keep your connection with them. Usually we have a fire, we offer our sema, and share stories about our loved ones, good stories that we remember. That's how we keep connected with them. You can have a fire and put your food in the fire, or put it outside in the western doorway, just to feed them as well, because their spirits get hungry. There's no like specific. We like to make dishes that were their favorites and kind of give them a little bit of what they don't have on the other side. So being able to share a meal with them is usually the best way that we as a family do it. You can have several people come in, you can have a small group. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be very personal. You can do it by yourself if you need to. Yeah, so miigwech.
Ani Bidasiye Kwe Indigenous Makwa Dodem. I'm just gonna share my story of how we conduct our spirit feast at home. And our family usually gets together at the beginning of November, and we haven't done it yet this year, but we're about to do it this weekend. And normally, I think the most important part is that we remember that our pastaways need to be fed, and focus on feeding them first, and focus on the things that they loved when they were alive, and that way we remember them. And in that way, when we have their favorite dish that we share, it brings about the memories, and then we can start talking about them, and we all start remembering them, and that keeps their spirit alive. So, favorite dishes. It could be bologna, like pickled bologna cut up. It could be KFC. It could be Taco Bell. that's okay. We can offer those because that's what our passed aways loved. It's also good to offer the traditional foods of the Anishinaabe. Like if you have venison on hand, have some venison. Berries are really important, and some kind of vegetable. It's good to make a spirit plate and make sure you offer that first beforehand at a fire if you have a fire, or just place it outside. Offering water, offering the medicines if you have them. You know, any way is good as long as you're doing it with goodness in your heart. And it's very important to me to teach my kids and to teach my grandchild that, you know, remembering our past aways is really important, because they look forward to this time of the year also. And it's good for us here in the land of the living, because we are keeping their spirit alive. We're talking about them. We have a place setting for them. We're making their favorite foods. It's good for our community. It's good for these kids to see it, this tradition, keeping on, and just being around it and seeing, you know, the adults keep this tradition. So that's all. Miigwech.
Oh, bonjour. Ninda wayna mani duk. Nago kwan dishni kas. Bijou de dem. Saginaw and Majima. Bonjour, my relatives. My name is Shannon Martin. I work for Ziibiwing, and I'd just like to share a little bit about the Spirit Feast or Ghost Supper or Ghost Feast. And really we just want to encourage you as families to get together this season. For Anishinaabe, it's not one day, it's not a specific day, but it's a season of recognizing, honoring, memorializing our passed aways and our ancestors. And we've shared some teachings with you about how to do that. But in this day and age, you can create your own way in which we want to honor your passed aways. Your family can start their own traditions. So we encourage you to do that. And you don't have to follow any type of a spiritual path, religion, to remember those who impacted your life and the lives of your family. So get together, prepare a meal together, offer a plate of food to the ones that you've lost over the years, and remember them. Put out their pictures, share stories. And with that plate of food, you can burn it in a sacred fire, or you could put it outside on the western side of your property, on the west side of a tree, or even take it to their gravesite if you live near them. But the important and the beautiful part of being Anishinaabe is that we always remember those ones that came before us and those ones that taught us and loved us during their time here on earth. So on behalf of Ziibiwing and 7th generation, we encourage you to do that. We've prepared some kits for you to pick up. Those kits will be ready on November 2nd, and you can call Tara at Ziibiwing or Tanya at 7th generation to arrange a pickup. And within that kit, you'll have some supplies to encourage you to hold your own spirit feast or ghost supper in your home. But again, this is something that Anishinaabe, whether you're Potawatomi or Chippewa or Odawa, we've done since time immemorial to remember those ones that walked on before us. So miigwech.